Welcome to the Author Your Life podcast, where you can write a new script for your life and become the hero of your story. I'm your host, David McRae. You are the author of your life. Let's get started.
All you have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to you.
In my experience, there's no such thing as luck.
It is not our abilities that show what we truly are. It is our choices.
Before we launch into the podcast, I'd like to tell you about my book, Author Your Life, Become the Hero of Your Story. This is a book for people who are at a crossroads in life and want to make a fresh start. Judging by the fact that you're listening to this podcast, I suspect that you may well be one of those people. This book is going to help you to change your narrative and rewrite the scripts in life that are holding you back. This book covers the latest science and research showing you how to become the person you want to be and live the life that you want to live. I'd like to invite you to get this book not only because I feel it's a great book that's going to help you, but also it's going to support the podcast as well. I love podcasts, but sometimes all of those ads that you get can be really irrelevant and annoying when you just want to listen to a good piece of training or a good interview. So I therefore made the decision with my podcasts that number one, I wanted my podcast to be free so that everyone could listen to it. And number two, that I wasn't going to fund it through all these annoying and irrelevant adverts and commercials. Therefore, if you want to support the podcast and support all the things that I put out there for free, whether it be here on the podcast, my YouTube channel, other areas on social media, then buying a book is going to enable and help that process. So this is what we call a win-win scenario. By buying the book, you help to support my work and all the free stuff that I put out there, and you also get a really transformational book that's going to help you make those changes that you really want in your life. So if you feel you're someone who's at that crossroads in life, you're looking for a new direction, you're looking for a fresh start, then make sure you get this book. Author Your Life, Become the Hero of Your Story is available on Amazon in ebook, paperback, and audiobook. Whatever your preferred medium, it's there for you to go get right now. Some of you might have noticed towards the end of 2019 on my social media channels, I posted about my reading target that I'd set for myself during the year. For those of you who didn't see the post, I decided to set myself a reading target of 4 books a month, every single month throughout the course of the year. 12 months, 4 books a month. My total reading target, therefore, was 48 books. And I was pleased at the end of December that a couple days before New Year's Eve, book 47 and book 48 were added to the list, and I managed to hit my target every single month. Couple close calls, there was a few 31sts where I was frantically reading the last 50 pages or so of a book, but I managed to do it and I managed to hit that target. And so I shared my entire reading list. I shared each of those 4 books I'd read every single month. Quite soon after I shared this post, I got a message from someone and they said, I saw your post about the books. It's really inspired me to get back into reading. I just haven't done very much of it for the past couple of years. What do you suggest would be a good target for me this year? Is it, say, a book a month or what? What do you suggest? What I realized was that I had, in some ways, perpetuated a myth with this post, or not necessarily a myth, but perhaps not best practice when it comes to setting yourself targets throughout the year. And so I explained to this person in the message, I said, it's not about setting yourself the target. It's not about plucking an arbitrary number out of the air. For me, my target was related to my existing reading habit and how I wanted to push myself in that existing habit. For you, however, if you just set yourself a target of books, whether it's 1 a month or 1 a week, just setting yourself the target doesn't mean that you're actually going to read any more. And I went on to explain the difference between lead measures and lag measures. Lead measures and lag measures. And this is a really important distinction to get right in our heads. And this is where I see so many people go wrong, particularly at this time of year in January, at the start of the year, is so many people focus on setting themselves these targets, quite often in a numerical form. Oh, I want to lose X number of pounds, I want to earn this much money, I want to read this number of books. The problem with setting a target in this way is that your targets are your lag measures. What is a lag measure? So a lag measure measures what has already occurred up until that point. So you stand on the scales at the end of January and you see how much weight you've lost since the beginning of January. You look at your bank account at the end of January and you see how much money you've made or lost in that month. You get to the end of January and you see how many books you've read in that month. Now, lag measures are important because they give us an idea of our progress and our momentum and our direction that we're going in. The problem with a lag measure is, what do you do if the number isn't what you like? So you get to the end of January and you realize you've actually put on weight. You get to the end of January and you realize you've actually lost money. You get to the end of January and you go, oh, I haven't read the 1, 2, 3, 4 books, whatever it was that you set. If we just focus on lag measures, then all we get is the result of our actions. And if the result of our actions isn't satisfactory, then what do we do about it? And this is where so many people go wrong at the start of the year, because they say, this is what I want this year, but they've got no idea of what actually happens if they don't hit that target. They think that just by setting that target, just by putting that number or that specificity or whatever it is into the universe, that somehow it's going to happen for them. And so this is what I was explaining on this message. I said, don't set yourself a target in terms of the number of books. That's your lag measure. What you want to look at instead is set a target to build the habit of reading, and focus instead on what that habit of reading will be for you. Is it 15 minutes at the end of the day just before you go to bed? Is it 30 minutes as soon as you wake up in the morning? Start building that habit of reading and focus just on that habit of reading. So if you manage to get those 15 minutes at the end of the day, if you manage to get that half an hour at the start of the day, you will easily read a book a month. You'll easily read more than a book a month. For my target of 4 books a month, I reckon I'm not doing much more than 30 to 60 minutes of reading per day. You don't actually have to do that much to be able to rattle through the books. The problem is, if you just do 15 minutes and then you leave it for a couple of days, if you just do half an hour here and there, you're not building this reading habit. And that's when you'll start getting to the end of the month and realizing, oh, I haven't read the books that I wanted to read this month. Building the habit of reading is your lead measure. Your lead measure. Your lead measures, as opposed to your lag measures, measure the actions you are taking in order to get a result. So if you want to lose weight this year, that's fantastic. There's no problem with wanting to lose weight, but don't focus on the number of the scale. Focus on the habit of exercise. How many times are you going to the gym per week? How many times are you going out for a run per week? How many exercise classes are you going to per week? Focus on the habit of eating well. How many times are you cooking for yourself as opposed to having a takeaway? How many times are you picking the salad rather than the burger? This is your lead measure. And the good thing about a lead measure is you can change it and you can adjust it. So say, for example, this person who sent the message, they're doing 15 minutes every night, and what they find is that by doing 15 minutes every night, they're able to finish that 1 book a month. Okay, good. Well, now they've got a baseline as to how much 15 minutes of reading will be able to help them to complete their books. So by virtue of that, if they want to read 2 books, then it looks like they want to double that reading time. That makes sense, doesn't it? If you can read 1 book a month with 15 minutes per day, then you should be able to read 2 books a month with 30 minutes a day. Do you see how this works? And you can adjust. If you get to the end of January and you realize you've put on weight, you then look back at your lead measures and say, well, what needs to change? Do I need to exercise more? Do I need to eat a little bit less? Or is it a combination of those factors? So this is a really key distinction to get around your head, not just in January at the beginning of the year, but anytime you're wanting to change, anytime you're wanting to grow and improve. Yes, have this lag measure of, this is that destination that I want to get to. But you also need to understand the lead measures that lead into that. That's where the name comes from. And that's what you want to focus on. Don't worry so much about the end result, the destination. What's far more important for you to focus on and to really nail down is what these lead measures are. What are the consistent actions? What are the habits? What are the practices that build into that final desired result? And so that's what I said to my lovely person on the messenger, and they said, oh, that totally makes sense. I can see how I've actually been getting it all wrong. So they've set themselves a reading habit target. We're going to check in at the end of the month and see how they've been hitting that habit. And what we'll be able to see from that is, well, how many books are they actually reading as a result of building that habit? So folks, I hope you found that useful today. I've enjoyed sharing with you, as I always do. I look forward to sharing with you next time that I get the chance to talk to you. Until then, remember, today is the day that you can start a new chapter of your life. If you've enjoyed today's episode and you'd like to take your education with Author Your Life a little bit further, then I'd love for you to join us in the brand new Author Your Life Academy. The Author Your Life Academy is an online educational community where you can start a new and exciting chapter of your life. In the Academy, there is ongoing, extended, exclusive training to help you build the skills that you need to grow and develop in your life. You get to join a community of aspirational story changers who are supporting you, encouraging you, and celebrating with you along your journey. I'm also in there as well, providing tailored specific mentorship through live question and answer sessions and priority access through messaging and emails. If you'd like to enroll in the Academy, you can do so for just $27 a month. That's £20 for those of you in the UK. When you join, you get 3 awesome bonuses. You get an audiobook, you get an online course, and you get a ticket to one of my live events. So if you're ready to start something new and exciting in your life, come join us in the Author Your Life Academy. You can find out more about how you enroll by going to www.authoryourlife.org/academy. I'd love to see you in there. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd appreciate it hugely if you could head over to iTunes and leave a rating and review for the podcast. With your review, please be as honest and detailed as you can be. Because with honest and detailed feedback, that helps me to adapt and grow this podcast to most serve you, the listener. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, then make sure you subscribe to the podcast. That way you aren't going to miss any of the future episodes that we've got lined up for you. Until next time, remember that you are the author of your life. You hold the pen, and you can write whatever script you want for yourself. So go out today and write yourself a beautiful story.